If you've been scrolling through endless pages of combustion analyzers, comparing endless specs and still feel like you're one step away from buying the wrong thing, stick around. I've spent the last few days digging through data sheets, watching a handful of field demos, and even chatting with a couple of HVAC service guys who actually use these tools day in and day out. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. What follows is the kind of practical breakdown that will let you decide whether the Testo 300 is the analyzer you should put in the back of your toolbox, or if you'd be better off looking elsewhere. First, let's talk about the situation where this device actually shines. Imagine you run a small commercial boiler maintenance business, or you're the facilities manager for a school district with a fleet of gas-fired water heaters. Your job is to verify combustion efficiency, spot dangerous carbon monoxide levels, and keep a paper trail for compliance audits. The Testo 300 promises a 04000 ppm CO range, long-lived sensors backed by a 4-year warranty, and an integrated printer so you can hand off a hard copy report on the spot. Those three things line up directly with the daily grind of a service tech. You need a reliable reading, you need it to stay accurate for years, and you need to hand the customer a printable report without pulling out a laptop. Now, who should really consider this unit? If you're a professional who does at least a handful of combustion checks per week, the built-in printer alone can save you a lot of time. You won't have to pair a handheld analyzer with a separate Bluetooth-enabled tablet, worry about battery life on two devices, or scramble to format data after the fact. The long-lived sensors mean you won't be swapping out consumables every few months. That warranty translates into real cost avoidance when you factor in calibration fees and sensor replacements. In short, any service business that bills for combustion testing, needs documentation for code compliance, or just wants to reduce the administrative overhead of data entry will find the Testo 300 a solid fit. On the flip side, if you're an occasional DIY homeowner who just wants to check the flue on a new furnace once a year, the printer is probably overkill. You could get a handheld analyzer for a fraction of the price, log the numbers on your phone, and be done. The Testo 300's price point reflects its professional-grade features, so for low-volume users the return on investment dwindles quickly. Also, if you already have a separate data logging solution that you trust, you might not need the built-in printing capability, and a slimmer, lighter analyzer could be easier to carry around on a cramped ladder. Let's get into the practical strengths. The sensor longevity is more than just a marketing line. In the field, you'll notice that the readings stay stable across months of use, even if you're pulling the unit in and out of hot boiler rooms. That stability matters because a drifting sensor can give you a false sense of safety, especially when you're measuring low CO levels. The 4-year sensor warranty isn't just a nice guarantee, it tells you Testo expects the sensor to hold up under typical commercial use, which usually means exposure to temperature spikes and occasional moisture. In real-world terms, you'll spend less time recalibrating and more time actually diagnosing burners. The printer, while it adds a few ounces of weight, eliminates a whole step in the workflow. When you finish a test, you hit the print button and a clear, legible report slides out, complete with timestamp, CO concentration, and the instrument's serial number. That paper copy can be handed to a plant manager, filed for inspection, or attached to a maintenance log without any extra software. In my conversations with field technicians, the biggest complaint about other analyzers is the need to pair with a phone app and then export PDFs later, something that can go wrong if the phone battery dies or the Bluetooth connection drops. The Testo 300 sidesteps that entirely. Now for the hidden trade-offs. Because the unit packs a printer, its battery life is modest compared to the leanest handheld analyzers on the market. You'll get roughly 8 hours of continuous use, which is fine for a day's work but means you'll need to keep a spare battery or a charging cable in your service van. Also, the printer uses thermal paper rolls that, while inexpensive, can run out faster than you might expect if you're printing full reports after every test. It's a minor annoyance, but worth noting if you're planning on high-volume testing. Another nuance is the user interface. The display is a crisp LCD with dedicated buttons for the most common functions: CO measurement, O reading, and printer activation. There's no touchscreen, which some might see as dated, but in a dirty boiler room that's actually a benefit. Touchscreens can become unresponsive when you have gloves on, whereas tactile buttons give you confident control even in greasy or humid conditions. The learning curve is shallow. You'll be able to start taking readings within a few minutes of